and thanks for tuning in to another awful movie review.
Not disturbing anything, am I?
The 1931 film adaptation of the classic Robert Louis Stevenson story, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, was a very good movie, with its Oscar-winning special effects, a good cast, ghoulish atmosphere, and overall it was just a very good time, doing the material a lot of justice. But the same cannot be said about Daughter of Doctor Jekyll, which merits to have popcorn thrown at it. It's so meaningless and adds virtually nothing of real substance or value to the original story. Makes me wonder if the cast and crew of the 1931 version even knew about all this. And directed by Edgar G. Ulmer, the same individual behind the lumbering man from Planet X,
Brandy looking little fella,
and the amazing Transparent Man, who had nothing amazing about it.
I imagine that comes as quite a surprise to you, sir.
But just before we get going, if there's a bad movie you'd like me to review, leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let me know your thoughts and feelings on Daughter of Dr. Jekyll.
Not on an empty stomach.
Beautiful Lily Talbot plays Janet, the daughter of the strange Dr. Jekyll,
Not the Dr. Jekyll.
who she completely ignores the existence of. She plans on marrying this guy played by B-movie pioneer John Agar. She goes back to a manor in England, where she meets a doctor who winds up telling her about her horrible lineage.
This house and the land around it for miles belongs to you. You, Janet, were never living lavishly on my money, but on your own. I suppose you wonder why I haven't told you this before. And I wanted to make sure that your future husband would be interested in you and not your money.
I understand where this is coming from, but still, it's a bit of a dick move.
Well, frankly, I feel like an idiot.
Janet starts to freak out and lose her mind after two local girls are found butchered, and she wakes up with blood on her nightgown and mud on her slippers. Could the mad experiments of her father be hereditary?
This is ridiculous. We're living in the 20th century.
This is a pretty weak movie. None of the performers stand out, the characters portrayed are flat and one-dimensional. There isn't any entertainment value, and the plot is filled with incoherences. It's crazy. I wonder if these people even listened to themselves as they were speaking their lines.
I don't know. Maybe I was wrong.
I don't ever recall Dr. Hyde being described as a werewolf, for instance.
Yes, what is this business about the moon rising?
It kind of was its own monster. Mr. Hyde was a primitive, bloodthirsty man-beast. But here, they insist that he was a werewolf. But why not? I'm not against movies taking liberties from the source material. But at the same time, this is not its own movie. This insists on being part of the continuity of the original story, but then twists the narrative elements the way they want it. It's frankly ridiculous.
I wonder how much longer my nerves can stand this.
I couldn't help but notice the music playing at odd times. That's a pretty intense door opening. Never know if the door's gonna open correctly or not. And what about that music? I noticed it's the same stock score from Robot Monster.
Watch the light closely.
And what is this? The reading in his mind sounds like he's on the other line of a phone call.
The werewolf is usually supposed to be the soul, sometimes of a dead body, sometimes of a human monster.
Also, probably for monetary issues, there's only one cheap and disappointing transformation sequence at the end. For a movie that does involve a monster, there's not much monster in it.
Oh, money is never a joking matter, my dear.
Janet just looks like an angry woman with longer eyelashes. We find out that the doctor was the one all along turning into Mr. Hyde 2.0.
Like some perverted mask of evil out of a legend of horror.
And then hypnotizing Janet to frame her for the murders. Why? Why is it that Janet turns into a so-called werewolf when the full moon comes out, but the original monster came from a laboratory experiment and has nothing to do with folklore? Why do they need to drive a stake through the guy's heart in order to kill him? He's not a vampire, for goodness sakes.
My father.
He used Dr. Jekyll in his earlier killings to gain control of the estate.
You've got to be kidding me. Now this movie is just spewing absolute bullshit at us to make it stick. As a conclusion, flush this nonsensical stinker down the toilet. I've got nothing else to say. What an awful movie.